This is the Arcane design Abyss. This is Israel Bacchus's most recent design, brought to metal in hand, and I just got it. He's sending it around to different reviewers and people to check out, and I've fallen in love with it. I knew I would. I mean, I knew I would when I saw him hold up the 3D plastic model of this thing that looked like a glow-in-the-dark toy, but I could see from the lines that I was going to really dig it, and I do. Especially that blade. That blade is just stunning. The whole thing is very beautiful, and in sort of keeping with Israel's style of design, it looks like it's not going to be maybe comfortable because of all of the beautiful angles and facets, but then you get it in hand, and oh my god, all those facets make sense. This angle, all of these angles make sense for a really, really nice grip. I guess I'll talk about ergonomics first. It feels great in this sort of forward saber grip like this. There's a nice little swale, not milled out, but in the profile of the handle. That's a great landing spot for your thumb. Of course, you can also bring it up, and that feels really good. The jimping here is nice and grippy, grabby. The considerable and generous chamfering on this handle makes it what it is, actually really makes it comfortable. I mean, these facets here, as I call them, they're actually chamfers. They're just really deep and broad. And man, they make it very comfortable. They make it very comfortable in hand. Arcane design. I like that the branding is right there. It's kind of also sticking out of pocket. It's kind of like putting it on the clip, but not putting it on the clip. Speaking of the clip is very nice. Both angles of rampage coming in and out of the pocket are excellent. Sometimes that feels like an afterthought, like how it grabs and how it releases and how it slides in. But this one looks good and works really well too. It's kind of a trapezoid, right? Is that the shape? Parallelogram. Okay. There, I've told you my complete knowledge of mathematics right there. Okay, deploys very well. Closes, doesn't drop shut. If you like drop shut, it doesn't drop shut. It probably will after you break it in, but I like that. I have a number of knives recently that require a more conscious closing, and I like it. I prefer it, I have to say. I think we've gone around the bend with this drop shuttiness. Though I gotta say, I, like you, am very gratified by a blade that just falls freely and feels like it's frictionless. M390 blade is hollow ground and very thin behind the edge on this straight portion here. And then he calls this a Bowie. I call this a clip point tanto. And, that's just what I choose. Right here, it's flat ground in this area, like an Americanized tanto. You can see how the contrasting grinds by this nice, beautiful, curvy line there. If that line were straight, you'd know that both surfaces were flat ground. Very nice sound. I like the sound of a thin, hollow grind. Very nice. But also, just a good-looking blade. I love this nice dramatic clip and the swedge up on top, but it's flat here. So that will do some nice piercing and nice jimping. That's very grippy, as I mentioned. And then this fuller here, and this fuller can be used to spidey flick, sort of. I mean, for me, I can only spidey flick it. I can only spidey flick it if I give it a little bit of wrist. But that's me. That's not ordinarily how I open up my knives anyway, so I might be out of practice. But I think that this fuller not only lightens the blade and maybe gives it rigidity, I don't know. I'm no engineer. But it does allow you to open it that way. And then you could pinch it open and slow roll it if you wanted to. But otherwise, this flipper. And the flipper, I like the way it looks. I like how it's jimped. You don't hear me say this often, but I think it could be a little bit even bigger. It doesn't need to be, but a few times I've slipped over, only because it is small and sitting in this well here. So, I mean, I've had this for a few days now, and I've been flipping it a lot. And it's rare that I miss it, but I'm also kind of getting the tip of my finger in there each time to make sure I'm engaging it. Yeah. So you have the not typical, you have the signature Arcane style with that cool sort of titanium bolster added addition on both sides. Very nice, you know, even though when you look at it from the side, there's no difference between the height of here and here in terms of getting to the lock, but the way it's thinned out right there, it makes it really easy to unlock. It's just a really nice knife to handle and hold. I have not used it on anything but paper, and I'm ordinarily not much of a paper slicer here, but like all the way to the tip, it's just all the way to the tip. It's very, very sharp. It's very, very sharp. So I need to strop this a little bit. I did, this was in the hands of some other people, but I'm particularly impressed with how sharp this forward flat ground portion is. I think I feel like sometimes sharpeners get a little squirrely right at the tip, and sometimes they leave it a little fat so that it doesn't break, and I appreciate that because I do break tips, but I don't know, this is a very confident sharpening job, very beautiful, beautifully done, and just striking looking knife. All right, so I have one Arcane design knife of my own, and this is a collaboration between Arcane Design and Something Obscene Company, and it is the absolutely stunning and sublime antimatter. Perfectly symmetrical, perfectly double-edged. And this one's made by Riot, and I got it, I really like the way it looks with the coated blade and the bronze handle, but I am just such a sucker for how they show their grind lines, and their belt satin is so beautiful. I opted for this model, and yeah, this is a really, really awesome knife. This is one you just have to be careful that you're using the little quillions to close it and not using the back of the blade. You can just drop shut it. Great knife. You can also wave it out of your pocket with that if you're very, very conscious about it, but it doesn't happen easily. Okay, so about the same size. Look at those. Those are really cool. You know, you can see a through line design-wise here. Let's see. Here it is with my favorite compound ground blade, the Spanto by Hinderer Knives. This one was reground by Josh at Razor Edge Knives, and he got it very thin and nice, and you can see that difference between the flat grind and the hollow grind there. So that's it with a Hinderer XM18. Another really well ground knife. This is also a Riot, the K2. So, you know, cousins. Since they call it a Bowie, you know, I'm shocked by, this is the XM24, so much bigger. I'm shocked that in my collection with my love of Bowies, I have a number of fixed blades, but I really have very few in the way of folding Bowies. I guess they're mostly in my Emerson collection, but I really like the shape of this one. Wouldn't mind getting this one hollow ground. Here it is with the Crystal Aurora, another super stylish, very high design concept knife from Russia, Ivan Braganets. And let's see, this is my Monterey Bay Knives, turbo designed by Peter Carey. Closest I will ever get to owning a Peter Carey. And I love his knives. So about the same size exactly. And then two small, these are 3-inch knives. I'm just going all super high class knives today. Or I should just say super expensive. Just because you have money doesn't mean you have class. And I'm not saying I have either. I just have a few nice knives here. And then here, this is the 3-inch Rockwall. So this one, I don't think I mentioned, is the Vero Synapse. And then here's the Tactile Knives Rockwall. Both 3-inch bladed knives. So you can see this one at 3.5. I mean, it's just 3.5. And the fact that it's got a needle tip that tapers from both the bottom and the top makes it look shorter. You know, makes any blade look shorter. And you know, like on the Patata, for instance, that's a full 4-inch blade, but it doesn't look like it because it tapers so gradually over such a long portion of the blade. All right, so this is the Arcane design Abyss. Just a really stylish, stout knife. I mean, the build of this is 6AL 4V titanium. It's got no lightning in there, no pockets dug out of there. So it's got a substantial feel, but you know, it's not, does this have any, this has lots of weight reduction. It feels about the same, I gotta say. Just a different solidity to it. And then that leads to a different sort of thwacking sound when it opens. I defy you to tell me that's not gorgeous. All right. Thanks for watching.